Keanu is an action comedy starring Key and Peele, and yeah, I know that's not their real names, but their real names are just way too long, so I'm just going to call them Key and Peele throughout this video. Now, this was a movie that I was very interested in going into it because I think Key and Peele are really funny. I didn't watch their TV show a whole lot, but whenever it was on, I would watch, and I always thought the two were just hysterical together. So I was really interested to see what they would do in a movie together. So let's talk about how that panned out. So the movie opens up, and we see these two really big, scary-looking, just assassin guys called the Allentown Boys. They just bust into this Mexican drug facility. They kill everyone in there, including the leader of the gang. And to add insult to injury, just before they kill the leader, they decide to take the little kitten that he has. And I'm just gonna say something really quick about this cat. It's probably safe to say that it is the most adorable kitten I have ever seen in my life. I mean, just the way this thing meowed and then looked at everybody, you see this thing, you're just like, ah, you're so cute, I just wanna take you home and love you. Makes me pretty thankful I didn't see this movie with my girlfriend, because if I had, she would be begging me day in and day out if we could get our own little Keanu. So these two guys are about to leave with this little kitten, but the police come in, they distract these guys long enough, and then the kitten just escapes. Now we flash forward a little bit, we get to Peele, and this guy, he's kind of down on his luck at this point. I mean, he just hangs around, he smokes weed all the time, his girlfriend just dumped him, and then he ends up finding the kitten at his front door, and with that, he just decides to adopt him, because you're not gonna not adopt an adorable little kitten that's sitting at your front door. So Peele names the kitten Keanu, he introduces the kitten to his cousin, played by Key, and Key has his own little struggle he has to deal with. You know, his wife and his daughter, they're going on vacation with the husband and daughter of a family friend. And I'm just gonna say this right now, you immediately see the husband from this family friend, and you're just like, there's something fishy about this guy. I don't know what it is, but there's something I don't like about him. And later on that night, when Key and Peele are coming back from a Liam Neeson movie, Peele tells Key what his wife already told him, and that is that he should loosen up a little bit more, you know, learn to be himself. Because you see what Key's character is like, and he is kind of an uptight guy, you know, you can tell he doesn't get out too much. But immediately, once they get back to Peele's house, they discover that his house has just been destroyed. I mean, someone has just broken in, they have wrecked shit, and they also find that Keanu is missing. So they immediately go next door to Peele's drug dealer, who's the biggest fucking idiot you'll ever meet, but the dude's high all the time, so maybe that's why. And he tells Key and Peele how there's this gang called the 17th Street Blips who are trying to come to his house, but they may have ransacked Peele's house instead. So he tells them to go to this downtown strip club because that's where this gang operates. And here's where the movie started to get really funny. Because Key and Peele know that this is a hardcore street gang. They know they can't just go in there and just ask for their cat back. They know if they're gonna pull that off, they need to adopt a gangster persona. They need to make people believe that they're these two hardcore thugs. So immediately when they meet the gang, they go by the street names Tectonic and Shark Tank. They're talking with their voices much deeper, they're saying a lot of ridiculous shit, they're dropping the N-word whenever they get the chance to. It's completely ridiculous and funny as hell, but you know what, the gang believes it, so good for them. They meet with the gang's leader, this guy's name is Cheddar, and they immediately see that he does in fact have Keanu with him, and they immediately ask if they can have the cat. And Cheddar tells the two of them that he's willing to give the cat to them, but under one condition. And that is that Key and Peele take Cheddar's gang, go out into the streets with them, and teach them how to sell this new drug called Holy Shit. He's asking them of this because Cheddar is under the impression that these two are the Allentown Boys from the very beginning of this movie. And although they both know that this is completely dangerous and could more than likely end up with them both being killed, they decide to go through with this. But what I did like seeing in this moment is how much this situation means to both of these characters. Because Key sees this as a chance to loosen up, to try to be more adventurous, to do some more cool stuff for himself. But more importantly, in Peele's case, it's all about getting this cat back, because for him, that's all he really has. I mean, the guy doesn't really have a job or a family or a girlfriend or anything like that. Keanu is really all he has in his life right now. So it is nice seeing that he's willing to go this far to try to get him back. So later on that night, the gang goes to a house to try to sell this drug. Peele and the girl in this gang, her name is High C, they go upstairs to sell the drug, while Key just decides to stay in the van with the rest of the gang to teach them how to keep watch. And once Peele and High C go into the house, they discover that the buyer is Anna Faris. And this scene was funny, but it did do one thing that I just don't like when comedies do, and that is they made this scene go on for a bit too long. And the same goes for when Key is in the van with the rest of the gang, you know, teaching them about George Michael and how he's a real hardcore musician and it's awesome. The scenes start out as really funny, I'm laughing, I feel like they're just killing it. But the scenes just go on for a bit too long, and you feel like they're just really milking these jokes as much as they can to the point where they're just not funny anymore and you want the movie to just move forward. So after a long while, Peele and High C, they're able to get the money from Anna Faris, and then the gang just leaves. I mean, yeah, High C had to kill Anna Faris and her friends in order to do that, but hey, business is business. So now the job is done, Key and Peele have done it, and they think they're now finally gonna get Keanu back. However, to make things a little more complicated from Key, he receives a call from his wife who tells him that the husband from this family, he's being really inappropriate with her, and now they're just gonna be coming home soon. This obviously has Key getting really frustrated, which completely makes sense because anyone would feel that way if someone else was being inappropriate with their wife. They meet with Cheddar, they're ready to get Keanu back from him, but Cheddar doesn't immediately want to give Keanu back. Cheddar's getting really greedy here. He's trying to be all like, hey, why don't you come along with this job with us tomorrow? I'll give you guys $20,000 and then I'll give you Keanu. And Key, already really pissed off, he just stands up in front of Cheddar, gets up all in his face like, no, give us our fucking cat back, motherfucker. And you can see the look on Peele's face. He's like, dude, just back off, calm down. This son of a bitch is gonna kill us. He's gonna kill us. It leaves you watching this scene like, yeah, I guess that holy shit that Key just smoked really does have an effect. And they both come to the conclusion that, you know what, we did what we needed to do. Key just smoked holy shit. Why don't we just take Keanu ourselves and just get out of here before anything else bad can happen? They eventually do, but on their way out, they get abducted by the real Allentown boys. These two just have Key and Peele strapped to these chairs and ready to torture them. Luckily, Keanu is able to claw Peele out of his chair, who's then able to free Key. They then take the Allentown boys' guns, but these guys are still approaching them. They're still ready to do whatever they want to do to them. And these two just take their guns and they just proceed to unload on these guys completely. I just laughed my ass off at that scene because you think about it and you're just like, yeah, the amount of nerves and everything that's going through their head, it probably makes sense that they would have done that. But their troubles still aren't over, and as they're leaving the warehouse, the blips have arrived. They reveal to Key and Peele that they know actually who they are because they've kidnapped Peele's drug dealer. So now the blips have forced the two of them to come along with them to their next destination. We discover what that is the next morning, and it is in fact the house of the brother of the Mexican drug dealer from the very beginning of the movie. Cheddar tries to tell this guy that Key and Peele are the actual Allentown brothers, and as a result, he and his gang have brought him here to this guy's brother as part of a bounty. However, this guy also wants his brother's kitten back, something Cheddar's not really that willing to give up simply because, you know, Keanu is Keanu. And from there, a huge gunfight just breaks out between both sides. The leader of this other gang, he's taking Keanu, and Peele just starts coming after this guy. He decides to steal the leader's car with the leader and Keanu still in it and just starts driving off with them both in it, even though Peele doesn't have a license, which forces Key to hijack another car so he can go after them. Peele eventually crashes the car, which sends the leader just flying through the windshield, and then Key just runs this guy over. However, the blips have shown up once again. They're ready to kill Key and Peele. However, High C breaks her cover. She reveals she is in fact a police officer, and with that, the blips are arrested. She reveals that she had been undercover this whole time, and she also reveals that the whole Anna Faris incident that occurred earlier, Anna Faris is still alive, and she and all of her friends, they were all in on it. Key's wife and his daughter, they eventually come home, and immediately when he sees the other husband, he just decks this guy, which just immediately has his wife completely turned on and seeing that now Key is actually kind of a badass. And unfortunately, because Key and Peele have done the illegal activity that they have done, they have to be taken to jail as well, but High C promises to hang on to Keanu and also to even go on a date with Peele when this is all over because you can tell there was a little bit of a connection growing between the two of them. So eventually 6 months go by. Key and Peele only have 3 weeks left on their jail sentences. High C reveals in a conversation though that I guess Keanu has this really rare disease, and as a result Keanu's gonna be a kitten forever. I'm still waiting to hear for the part where that's actually a bad thing though. And that right there is where the movie ends. So all in all, I thought Keanu was a pretty solid movie. Key and Peele, these guys kill it together. They have unbelievable comedic chemistry between each other. I mean, we already knew that before this movie, but this movie just continues to show that. This movie had a lot of really funny moments, some that had me laughing pretty hard. As I mentioned, there were some jokes that definitely went on for too long, and there were also a few jokes that did fall flat in some moments. I mean, the story is completely ridiculous and absurd, but that's part of what makes this movie really funny. But in the end, this was a movie that was definitely worth seeing, and I really want to see what other movies Key and Peele may potentially do together. And as I mentioned, Keanu, cutest kitten I've ever seen. bar none, period. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.